Here we got the Gen Z Club providing you another networking event in Loughborough. Again, we got the guest speaker Manuel Suko, who's a qualified financial advisor. Come here, network and be motivated. I want to see you there. Alright, what's good guys? It's Poku Banks, baby. Welcome back to my channel. Today, we're in a different setting. Thanks to Tens Lenses, they set us up and this is the first time. Normally I don't have any mics like this. Normally it's just in the studio or it's in someone else's home. But you know, we're upgrading this year. This year is all about self-elevation, okay? But today, I got the one and only Reme Nicole, who is a luxury real estate agent.
Hi everyone. Hi everyone. I'm Remy. I'm a luxury real estate agent in prime central London. I'm also a student studying social policy. So yeah, I'm super excited to have a chat with Poku.
You know what's crazy? We go to the same uni.
I've never met you.
We've never met. That is just the craziest thing. I think I've seen you around for sure, but yeah, we never got to.
Yeah, I think I saw you like when I was out, maybe in like second year and first year more, but I never.
Yeah, nice. But you know,
we have the same friends-ish as well.
Yeah, same friendship. You know, mutual friends and that. But you know,
it's so weird.
I think because of the pandemic, you know, I was stuck inside and I wasn't really going out too much anyway.
Yeah, and in uni, you could literally just not bump into people.
And you still be on the same campus. It's actually a big uni. I think there's 27,000 students or something like that.
Yeah, it's huge.
Yeah, no, big uni. But cool. So the good thing about that is that you're a student and you're also into real estate. You work full time. How do you even balance that?
I don't know, like, people always ask me this, but when I was in uni and I wasn't working, I was just lazy. Like, I didn't have anything to do in my spare time when I wasn't studying. Now, I'm just busy, but I'd rather have too much on than nothing on. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, no, I get what you're saying.
Like, my time is just like that. Before, I'd have gaps in my time. Now, I don't really have spare time. That's just it.
Do you ever miss having spare time?
I don't know. Probably not, because I think that when you have too much time in your hands, you get inside your head, and I think that's why so many people struggle with like mental health and stuff, because they have too much time on their head
to think.
Yeah, to think and to overthink and to doubt themselves and to question things and to feel rubbish and all of that stuff. Now I'm too busy to be sad, you know? Wow. So that's how I see it.
Wow, that's interesting. And what do you study at uni, Mel?
So I study social policy and criminology. I'm really passionate about politics and social policy and health policy and education policy. And all of that good stuff. So that's what I study. I'd love to have my own charity or foundation one day, like the Reme Nicole Foundation or something like that.
No, you got to speak that into existence. I like that. Yeah. Now, that's big because you do nothing relating to what you work as. So that's very interesting. How would you say someone needs any property or real estate degree to even get into what you do?
So it's so weird that in the UK, you actually don't need like anything to work in real estate. You could sell a £50 million house with no qualifications or degrees or anything. And this is the only country where it's like that. In the US, you need to study and do an exam. And like most other places in Europe, you need to do exams and stuff as well. But in the UK, you literally don't need to do anything. So no, I wouldn't say that is like key to working in the industry.
Yeah. Okay then. But would you say, so what made you, so since you don't, do anything to do real estate, or maybe you do behind the scenes, what made you, make the decision, you know what, me, Remy, I need to get into real estate now. I need to do a estate agency.
I was in a really weird place in my life, I think, like as most uni students are, and I was so like lost. I had no direction. I had no clue how I was gonna like survive after I graduated. I had no job. I had no clue what I wanted to do. I knew I wanted to do sales because I know I'd be good at it. I'm good at talking. I want a job where I'm interacting with people and all that type of stuff. I just didn't know what. So I thought maybe supercars, maybe property, maybe tech, because I thought that's where the money was. Just something in sales that is like fun, you know?
That's crazy because like you mentioned supercars. It seems like with you, the way you think big, you think 10 times more. And I like that because it just shows like, cool, let me aim high. And even if I don't get to where I want to get to, at least I'll fail a little bit below it. Do you know what I'm saying? Like supercars, luxury real estate. Did you even get into normal real estate, like just normal?
No, so, well, I I don't know. It's interesting, this luxury real estate term, and I actually don't really like to use it, so I don't know why I referred to myself as that in the beginning. But it depends what you'd term luxury, you know? Like, luxury to some people is 1 million. To people up north where the average home is maybe 300k, a luxury is 1 million. To people who deal with 10 million,
That's luxury.
that's luxury. To people who deal with, you know, nothing less than 20 million, that's, you know, this is the bottom side.
So there's levels to it.
Yeah, there's levels to it. And I think that I've had an advantage because I haven't had to start right at the bottom and work my way up. And I'm super grateful for that. But I also think that that isn't necessarily a bad thing. I'm having to learn as I go. I don't have, if I went into a massive corporate and I had to work my way up and, you know, I got taught every little thing as I go along, and I'd have to make my own mistakes, you know, with the smaller stuff. I think that would have laid me a very good foundation. Right now, I don't really have the foundation. So the mistakes I'm having to make are going to cost me a lot more because they're on a large scale. I don't have the practice. And I don't think that working your way up and working with the not so luxury real estate is a bad thing, because you work in that for 2 years, you know everything back to front, you know every type of wall, every type of flooring, every type of material, every type of, you know, like definition, you know every answer to every question, and you master that. When you get to the luxury real estate, you're going to make less mistakes. I don't have that privilege. So yeah.
So it's a pro and a con where, cool, you're dealing with bigger numbers, but then there's a lot more to lose in a way, because I can imagine even the people you're dealing with, they might have less tolerance in that sense.
Yeah, exactly. That's a massive point as well. I think that they have less tolerance for mistakes because you're not dealing with your average maybe first time buyer at 500k. You're dealing with someone who has 2 million in cash to spend, and they're trusting you to get it right for them, you know?
So how does it work
on top of the fact that I'm, you know, a girl, I'm a minority, I'm young, you know, I might be met with more apprehension.
How was it settling in, you know, going into the deep end then, would you say? Like your first day, how was that?
My first day? Well, I didn't actually come in I don't know what people think happened, but I didn't just come in and get a job at the top end of the market. So the story of how I got in, the CEO of my company, his name's Daniel, he's well known in the industry. He's top of super prime. So super prime is properties over 10 million. That's like the category. So he's sold more homes over 10 million than any other agent in London. Oh, wow. And he was at the top of one of the biggest corporate businesses, and then he started his own thing. So I had heard about him and I'd seen him because he documents a lot of stuff on social media. He's quite into like technology and stuff. Yeah. So I DM'd him on Instagram saying, "Hi, Daniel." Bear in mind, before him, I DM'd loads of people just asking for advice. "Hi, I'm this is what I'm interested in. Any chance I can shadow you or you can help me, And he ignored my message at first. Well, he didn't open it. And then I must have sent it maybe a month later to hope it goes to the top of his DM requests. And he actually answered it and he said, "Oh, hi, I've seen you on TikTok. I think your personality is really outgoing. And would you like to, maybe we can do something, you can help me do my social media, seeing as I've just started my own business." So that's why I actually came on to do social media initially, not real estate. And then once I had my foot in the door, I was like, well, how do I jump to the other side, you know?
All the way through.
Yeah, I just pushed the boundaries until I was given a chance to do sales, but that wasn't his intention, you know?
Oh, wow. And that's great. It's crazy how TikTok, it all stems from TikTok. It all stems from social media just to get you there.
You would never know that social media can land me a job working with the wealthiest people in the world. If you told me this would be my life before,
a year ago.
Yeah, a year ago, I'd just be so shocked. I'd be like, no way, you know? So I think it's, Nah,
that's good. And it just goes back to what you were saying earlier. You just like to keep, you know, achieving and aspiring for more because, you know, you went in for a social media role and you've somehow converted that into a luxury sales agent. So that's big. That's big. And it kind of shows about your personality. You always want more. And
thanks. I think when I was going, I knew exactly what I wanted. I knew I didn't want to do social media as a job, so that wasn't an option for me. As soon as I was in, I was thinking, how can I do what I want to do? I let them know straight away that, yeah, I'll do this because I want to you're the best person in the industry and I want to learn from the best person in the industry. So yes, any job I can take working with him, I'm going to do it, you know, but this isn't the end goal. So where there's a chance for me to cross over at any point, that's my goal. And that's what I'm going to try and do.
Wow.
You know?
From shadowing him then, what would you say you learned from Daniel as he is a CEO?
God,
Any valuable lessons or? So
much. I mean, it's really weird because the type of work environment we have is not like a regular environment, you know? We all work so closely. And, you know, he's on me. If I'm not doing something correctly, he'll tell me. And if he thinks I'm being emotional, he'll tell me. And if he thinks I'm, you know, he brings me up on loads of stuff a lot of the time. So I can't get away with stuff that I could have been able to get away with maybe at a big business where you're not noticed, you're one of hundreds. I'm one of...
Oh, so is it a small like environment? Like,
yeah, so it's a small company. It's a small independent super prime company. So when I joined, there was maybe 5 of us.
Okay.
Yeah, 5 of us. When was
that?
So a bit over a year ago now, maybe like 15 months ago.
Okay.
And now there's about 10 of us. But yeah, even within that, there was just 3 agents. So there's Daniel. Excuse me, there was Daniel. He is the CEO and he's a super prime agent. And there was another agent and then there was me. And obviously these are 30, 40-year-olds and there's just me who's trying to break into the same category with no experience.
Wow.
So yeah, I mean, it's not been easy and I'm not there yet, you know, I'm still learning every single day. I think people watch me on TikTok and think my life is like complete, you know, you don't know what goes down in the background. I'm not posting when I'm getting shouted at because I've messed something up, you know? So.
But wow, you must, would you say it even matures your mind because you're with such older people with such experience, would you say?
I think I've definitely matured, but I think massively emotionally more than anything. I think that Daniel has taught me a lot about how to manage my emotions and how to manage my feelings and how to manage other people's feelings, because this entire industry is about how you navigate other people's feelings, you know? These people a lot of the time are emotional and they might be selling their house for emotional reasons, or they may be buying their house to move on from an emotional experience. And, you know, if they call you at 10 p.m, you need to answer. Wow. And if they call you at 5 a.m. because they live in the Middle East and there's a time difference, you need to answer. Wow. I remember I was on a date once and I had like 5 calls, like we were on a picnic and I just had to keep answering them, you know, because you have to prioritize other stuff. He was looking at me like I was crazy. But
how, talking on that, how does it look from like a man's, or how do you see it from like whoever you're with? How do they see it when you're so busy and you're so in your hustle? Because I say that even 30 years ago, women weren't, you know, as, you know, so independent as nowadays. So yeah, have you noticed like any looks or any like, you know?
I think that within the industry, there's not many women, like none at the top end of the market. In London, there's not many women. I think that I can name maybe like 5 or 6 women that I know that are well respected and are very like influential at the top end of the market. Maybe 5 and 1 that is a black woman or a minority woman, maybe 2 that are minority women. So immediately from my mind, but there's not many women. It's dominated by men. So I think when people see me, because Daniel's name holds a lot of power, people see me with him and they're like, wait, she's a woman, wait, she's young, wait, she's black, what's going on, you know? And even people that I messaged on Instagram before I messaged Daniel trying to get into the industry, asking them the same thing I asked Daniel, who literally ignored my message, they'll see me with Daniel now, they'll be like, oh, hi, like, they'll pay me say, yeah. Wow. People who snubbed me right at the beginning, they're like, oh, you know, Daniel got so lucky with you and all these like nice stuff and they're so nice to me now. But I'm thinking like, I remember when you ignored me, you know?
That's a big lesson. So how long would you say you was DMing people for? Like, was it?
Oh, seriously, I do think just don't give up. Like, I think you should, what I do on days that I got sad at uni and I'd be like not motivated, there's like 3 steps to it. So there's first, identify who. So for me, people DM me all the time, but I don't have the power. I'm the youngest person in the business. And I also don't have the influence because it's a small business. Daniel controls the business, right? It's not like a big corporate where there's like, 100 or 200 managers. So I'm not the person that really you want to impress. You do to an extent because you should want to impress everyone you talk to, because you don't know where that can lead you to in the future. But what people who are trying to break into any industry want to do is target the people at the top of the businesses, the managers, the CEOs, the CMOs, the CFOs, the head of recruitment, all of these companies that people want to work in. They should be trying to target the people at the top, the founders, because they're the ones who are going to give you your big break,
Yeah.
So what I do is like find all these people on LinkedIn or Instagram. That'd be the first step, and just write all their names down, maybe for a couple of hours, because there's tons. Their name and their number down. And then the next part of it would be, and their emails. The next part, one day, once I've got bored of doing that, the next day I'd maybe shoot off an email to all of them and write a template.
What, copy and paste,
Copy a template and shoot off templates to all of them. And then the next day it may be find them on Instagram and shoot off a DM to all of them. So you're covering all ground, Their numbers aren't really available, so I don't know why I said that. But emails and Instagrams and Facebook, anything people use, you need to get in front of them. LinkedIn is good as well, but I got aired, I think, all the time on LinkedIn. I don't think anyone actually responded to me. So I don't know how successful that was. That wasn't successful for me. Instagram is more intimate, so you get to them, Like especially these type of people who are like 40 years old and 40, 50, they have small Instagrams just for their family. But if you type in their name, you're going to find their Instagram. So if they get a message, they're going to see it. They're going to think, oh, what's going on, So I think people should be targeting these channels to get in front of the people you want to be seen by,
Yeah, so essentially just trying every single way and being smart. Would you say even messaging like close friends of those, like for example, let's say Daniel had a friend that you could get in contact with. Would that have worked, do you think? Or
I think everything is worth a try. Do I think that you just never know?
You never know, yeah.
You just never know, I think that if a random person, these people are busy. Everyone's busy as an adult, If random people message me asking me to get them in contact with someone else that I have no clue who they are, I can't vouch for them. The likelihood of me...
It's low.
It's not like you've met them in real life and they want an introduction to someone, So I don't know, but I wouldn't discard it. I think that maybe it's worth a try,
But that's big, man. Consistency is always king. And how long was you doing that for, those 3 steps?
Well, I think people think that if you do it in a way that you find 5 people and then you note down all their names, if you do it in a way, that you find 5 people and one by one, you find their name, you find their email, you shoot them an email, and then you find their Instagram and you shoot them an Instagram, and then that whole interaction for one person takes about half an hour and you do 5 of them, you're going to feel like you've done it forever. Whereas if you do it as you take everyone's name that you want to contact, and then another time, the next day or a few days later, you then email everyone, and then a few days later you then Instagram everyone, it's going to feel way more effective. You're using your time better than doing everything all at once. It's going to feel so much longer. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I get what you mean. So doing one person by one, and then it feels like you're switching from apps to apps.
It feels like you're going through so much. Whereas if you just find a template, shoot off the template to 50 people in one day, and find the Instagram and shoot off the template to 50 people in one day on Instagram, and you find if you find the names and the emails of the people you want to address and note that down all in one day, then you've separated it. It's going to feel like less work.
Yeah, for sure. I'm not sure.
I don't know if I explained that.
No. It makes full sense. And I don't know if you would know, but what would you say are the differences between a normal estate agency and a luxury? Would you know the difference?
Well, again, this is why the luxury term doesn't really make sense, because most agencies have everything.
Okay.
Yeah. Most of the big corporate agencies, they deal with everything from core. So core is what is considered like under 1 million or under 2 million. And then prime is like 2 to 9 or 2 to 8. And then super prime is like above that.
Yeah.
So most agencies have all of those departments, and then people work in separate departments.
Oh, okay. But I guess yours is more...
Mine's a smaller agency, and because Daniel specializes in super prime, we have a lot of listings that are 20, 30 million.
Wow.
So I'm not necessarily selling these, but I'm working closely alongside them. And yeah.
That's big, man. That's big. And where would you say you want to take... It seems like you always want to keep evolving. Where do you want to take your career in that field, Ben, would you say?
That's a good question. I don't know. I think it's really interesting because I think that I just never predicted this life for myself, you know? So if there's anything that I can do, I just want to continue to show people that they can break into these spaces, and I want to establish myself, you know? At the moment, I'm not established. I work for the established. I work for a great brand. And I don't know if people know, but I'm also self-employed. So even when I graduate from uni and I continue this, I'll have no salary. I'll be commission based only. I have my own limited company. I have to do all my taxes, everything myself. So I just want to try and find some stability and try and establish myself so that, because sales is tricky. You might not sell something for 6 months, you know, and make any money for a long time.
That's true.
So I don't know. I just want to get better, be better, get more listings and prove myself.
Yeah, no, that's great. What made you even while you're working... Okay, you wanted to fill up your spare time, but it seems like you look into stuff before that, like entrepreneurship and motivation. Would you say that's something you consume in terms of content?
Yeah, I think more so now more than ever. I don't think I realised how important, you know, not realised, I don't think I appreciated how important a good state of mind is, you know, because I didn't have one. So now that I have one, I'm very focused on bettering myself and meeting people who are going to improve me and help me be a better person and pull me up on my flaws and all of that type of stuff. And I think that's the type of environment I'm in. I think that people think like real estate is just like a normal job, but it is business, it's transactions, and the people that you meet from this will be your friends for life, you know? You talk to these people every day on WhatsApp, and these people are CEOs and they have power over, you know, these great businesses. So I think that a lot of it is business. So any new tricks and tips and people I can learn from, I'm going to do that, definitely.
Yeah, and I like the fact that you mentioned how having a good like mental space is great, because again, for all of us, everything we do in life all stems from our head, from our minds, and from ourselves. So invest in yourself and making sure that you look great and your whole health state is great, then that's what's necessary, because without that, everything around you crumbles. You can't make great, you know, decisions, especially for you. You're making, you know, £1 million decisions when you're having to deal with these clients. So having that space must be necessary.
And that's really interesting, because before, especially at uni, as most students are, like, I was super down a lot of the time, and my emotions were just all over the place. And Daniel still thinks that they're not that great now, but I see a massive improvement. And one thing that he always says is that, you know, for most people, what I witness as well, their emotions are like this, like their highs are extremely high and their lows are extremely low. So when something is going really well, they're really, really happy. And then when something goes bad, they think it's the end of the world and they can't control it. Whereas instead, you should be like this, you know? You should be able to manage your emotions. And when things are good, don't get too happy. And when things are bad, deal with it. Don't get sad, you know? And I think that's really a really important thing I learned. You know, before, if something bad went wrong, I just think it's the end of the world. Now I'm just like, this went wrong. How do I deal with it? How do I move on? And this is going good. But like, don't get ahead of yourself, because anything can happen. And yeah, enjoy it, but just in a proportionate amount, you know, in proportion.
Yeah, even with me, I just have the it is what it is type of mindset.
Yeah.
And also sometimes when things do go wrong, I've noticed that sometimes when I just allow it to happen, sometimes it's a blessing in disguise.
Oh my God.
So I don't get too hung up anymore. But no, managing emotions is most definitely needed.
So that's interesting what you just said, because sometimes it really is a blessing in disguise, and sometimes you just never know what's behind that like door, you know? Okay, So I was working on this deal for about 3 months. And it was one of my first like proper clients who, they're abroad in the Middle East and they really trusted me.
Wow.
Yeah, they really trusted me to represent them in the purchase of a home. And they weren't actually going to see the home before they buy it. So they're trusting me,
to go buy a home.
To buy a home for them that they've never seen before. It's a big deal. And I was working on it for 3 months and the deal fell through and I was devastated. 3 months of my time, 20 grand fee. I was devastated.
Wow. Was you planning what you're going to spend the money on?
I spent it in my head. I spent the money in my head, and I swear, when I got an email from the lawyer saying like it's done, and I was so upset. And then the next week, and he didn't speak to me for a good few days. He was also.
Sorry, may I ask why it fell through?
It's quite complicated, but just.
Was it your fault or was it?
It wasn't my fault, and there's things that I could have done better.
Okay. Yeah.
It was a lot of it was to do with like the other side and the lawyers and this type of stuff. But I think that there's always things that I could have done to make it better. He also had COVID at the time that it fell through, so when it fell through, it was just terrible for him, and he didn't really want to talk until we felt better. So I didn't talk to him for a few days as well, whereas we used to talk every day.
Wow.
So in my head, I thought, the world was over. My deals just fell through. I'd already spent the money in my head. The guy is ill and he's not talking to me. So I don't know what he's thinking.
What he's going through
I don't know what he's going through, I'm feeling really bad because we were both so committed.
And it was emotional for both of you.
Yeah.
Like emotional investment.
It was an emotional investment, definitely. But I'm glad that it has happened, touch wood. Because 2 weeks later, I found something else. And when I called him, he said that he'd given up his search. He's actually no longer interested in buying anything else. And I was like, what can I do to make this right? And I found something. It was completely different to what we initially went for because it requires a lot of work.
Okay.
So he'd have to put in,
more money.
Yeah, like maybe £1 million. It was more expensive actually. So it's more expensive and he'd have to put in more work, but he loved it.
Oh, wow.
And he said, okay, let me speak to my mum. And he spoke to his mum and the rest of his family, who would obviously be influential in the decision. And they said, yeah, let's go for it. We had like a day to go for it because the property had already had 5 offers on it. Wow. So it was super competitive already. And we literally had a day to get everything prepared so we could get this property for him. So I could make this right and get this property for him. And we got it.
Yeah. Congratulations.
Thank you. It hasn't complete yet, so I don't want to touch wood. I don't want to...
Yeah, just going through that.
But we've got it and it's now with the lawyers and stuff. So hopefully it all goes well. But if I'd given up or if I'd,
If when you said I'm not looking for anything more.
Yeah.
If you just listened to him, essentially, you wouldn't be in this situation.
Exactly. And I would never have thought this would, from my emotions on the day that I found out that it fell through, I'd never have thought it could bounce back, But now it's bounced back and we're in an even better position. And he's so much happier with this one. It's a better location. It will be a better investment. So I do think that everything happens for a reason, definitely.
Now that's big. And you're talking about the fees. How do real estate agents get paid then? In what sense?
I think it's super different for everyone.
Okay.
Obviously, I work for a different company, so companies like mine aren't the norm.
Okay.
Most people work for a big corporate, and I've never had that experience. And at a big corporate, you get a salary and then you get some commission, and it's different. Mine kind of works like a brokerage, a bit like the US. So you get no salary and commission, but the commissions tend to be a bit more generous. And yeah, it can range from anything really. It could range from 10% to 50%.
Wow.
So it really just does.
Juicy deals. You were saying earlier how you spent it already in your head. Reme, what do you spend your money on? What do you like to... It seems like you like to travel a lot by your Instagram, by your TikTok, but what do you like to spend your money on? What makes you happy? What fulfills you?
I don't know, but it's really interesting because since I've worked in this industry, I'm really not concerned about materialistic things anymore. But before I was like...
How do you make that switch to like... What made you think, okay...
I don't know, because these people have it, They
have it.
They have it. Even a lot of the people, other agents in the industry, are very wealthy. They come from wealthy backgrounds, and that's how they are successful in the industry, because they already have the network from their upbringing. You know, they're wealthy British white men who went to private schools and who went, you know, they already have the background and backlook of someone who's going to do very well in this job. So when you're around people that just have it, it makes you feel like, oh, like I might have it a little bit, but I don't even have it like they have it and I'm trying to have it, you know? I think it's made me realise that material things, if you need a bag or a shoe or like a tee or a hoodie for people to respect you, I think that
it shows a lot about your character.
Yeah, I'd rather be respected without all of that stuff, you know?
Nah, I like that. That's very true. I think it's all about the within.
Yeah.
All of these materialistic things, they'll be out season next year.
Like when you used to say it, and I used to watch a video of you like, yeah, whatever. Like, you know, yeah, like don't spend money on design. But it's not that I don't think you should. I think that is just
it's
not a necessity. I have two bags, main bags. One bag I got when I was 18 for my 18th birthday, and I wear it every single day. And the other bag, it's more of a summer bag, and I usually wear it every day in the summer. But the same bag that I got for my 18th birthday, that's a designer bag. I've worn it every day pretty much since I've got it. And I don't feel now the need to keep trying to replace it and get the next best thing, you know? There's no need for 10 different designer bags when you're one person, you know?
Yeah, no, for sure. And you carry on?
Yeah, I think it's nice to have one thing, like one or two nice things that you wear and rotate, but the need to always want more, it's just dangerous.
Yeah, you know? it's like a direct debit.
Yeah, exactly.
I think when it comes to me and designer, I've kind of changed my views on it. Before I was fully anti-designer, just don't get it. But I understand why people do it. You know, if you've got the money to buy it, why not? But for me, I feel like it's all in the accessories. I think design accessories make sense. They last longer. They look a little bit nice.
That's not true though. A lot of design accessories don't last. Yeah, like a lot of them.
Now, for example, this is my wallet, and I think I've had it for like since I was 18, so I'm 21 now.
Oh, I think like bags maybe. I don't necessarily think shoes are.
You know, I'm a shoe guy though, so I'll still
Like a lot of them aren't necessarily better quality than something that you could get elsewhere. For something you could get for £800 isn't necessarily something that's better quality than something for £200. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, it's similar. It's
just the name.
Yeah,
a lot of these brands, you know, they're not giving you real silver or gold. It's just brass and like tinted or whatever it is, you know? So a lot of it is for the name.
But for me, I just think with accessories, I think it makes sense. You want a nice scarf or a jacket, why not? But I think for me, when it comes to the t-shirts, the hoodies, even jeans to an extent, it's just a bit like, why? Like, what's the point?
Jackets, bags, I agree with.
Yeah, but yeah, that's good.